87 between St Gregory's of Campbelltown and De La Salle Ashfield. In fact, Ashfield have lost the toss and are going to kick off in the blue and white jumpers, running from left to right on your screen. The referee for tonight's clash, Mr Cole Jones, and Bill Anderson, just prior to the kick-off, St Gregory's 4 times winner of the Commonwealth Bank Cup and certainly favourites here tonight.
Oh, they'd be very warm favourites, Graham, not just on what we've seen in the past years from them, but what they've done this year. I suppose they'd be favourites for the whole competition, but I'm sure that De La Salle Ashfield, that also come into the game fairly well credentialed, will make a real fight of it.
In the opening minutes here, just mentioning that Graham Hughes standing in for David Fordham, who was away in England for the Challenge Cup final, which will be calling for Channel 10 as we see St Gregory's off to a magnificent start. All the pressure now to bear on De La Salle Ashfield in the opening minutes.
Well, that was a great kick by St Gregory's, and it's a good tactic in any sort of night football, particularly schoolboy football, where the teams aren't used to playing under pressure. You can see here the ball finding touch, and that was something like a 70-metre ground finder, and De La Salle now have got to come up with possession from this scrum, otherwise they're going to be under all sorts of pressure.
So in fact, ruling that it came off an Ashfield player. No, he has ruled that Ashfield do still have the feed. Fed by Pike. Pike well and truly wrapped up by his opposite number, Finicka-Fallu.
Probably should mention at this stage, Graham, that Finicka-Fallu isn't the Tissy Finicka-Fallu that we've seen playing for St Greg's in the last few years in the Commonwealth Bank Cup. It's his brother Alicio. Tissy is presently playing in England with the Huddersfield club.
Very solid defence by the St Gregory's forwards. But the referee going to crack down in these early stages of the game, with players lying over the man with the ball. And a chance now for Ashfield to take some of this early pressure off. And Wayne Pearce, on so many occasions in the Commonwealth Bank Cup, the opening minutes of a game, we see so many mistakes. One wonders if it's just TV nerves.
Well, it could well be, but St Gregory's have certainly been on television quite a lot over the past years, and I doubt whether nerves are their problem. But I think that that particular penalty was just a sign of authority. Gregory's obviously looking to exert some authority through their big forwards early on, and we just hope that, and we'll see if De La Salle Ashfield can hang in there in these early exchanges.
And again, more penalties for Ashfield. This time the marker is not facing directly in front of the man playing the ball, and a chance for Ashfield to find touch on this occasion.
Well, these penalties in the centre of the field are always very difficult for schoolboys. It's quite a long kick just to put it into the touchline. You can see here that he was happy just to put the ball across field and make sure that it went out.
So just waiting for the restart with play. Sciglitano, the Ashfield hooker, picking up Ray Abraham, charges upfield.
Fairly strong defence at the moment by St Greg's, and maybe what De La Salle have got to do is get the ball a little bit wider off the dummy halves. They're taking it up very close to the play of the ball, and they're being picked off by the St Gregory's markers.
Referee calling 6 more tackles as Pike moves it on to Conzarafitis. Well and truly held just inside the St Greg's side of half. Pike, Fred Abraham, and the referee quite correctly ruling that pass forward from Fred Abraham. Fred Abraham, in fact, is the captain of the De La Salle Ashfield side. You see here picking up his outside runner, and the referee right in line with that, and a good decision. That's Barrett. And the referee putting the scrum down once again. Plenty of mistakes, Bill, in these opening minutes.
I think the reason for that is that both sides have attempted to do just a little bit too much. We saw De La Salle Ashfield move the ball a couple of passes laterally, and when the scrum was won by Campbelltown, they did likewise with their 5'8" looking to push a pass. And if you're looking to push the ball early, you're going to make mistakes.
Sciglitano.
Once again, we see the forwards here for De La Salle taking the ball up very close to the play of the ball, and the markers from Campbelltown are getting out and making tackles in cover defence, really, and that's an easy side-on tackle. The De La Salle boys have got to work a little bit wider of the rucks.
Well, the good defence by St Gregory's bringing up mistakes from Ashfield. They in turn now have the possession. Simon Ward, Fuller, Rowan O'Brien. To his feet now, Stephen Dill, the dummy half. Finicka-Fallu, Barrett sights the gap, he's through, looking inside for support, he goes outside looking for his winger, finds Peter Clifton, steps back inside, and that'll be the opening scoring in this game. Peter Clifton for St Gregory's of Campbelltown, but make no mistake, In fact, the opening defence of St Greg's bringing about plenty of mistakes from the De La Salle Ashfield side, and a great try to start the game.
This was a very good try. We can see here that Tim Kerr in the front row was roving out wide, and that caused the defence to hold off Barrett. He had enough pace to skip through the opening. He beat the fullback Boutros, who was coming across in cover defence, got the ball onto Clifton. Clifton had a fair bit of work to do on his own. He had to pull through 1, 2, then 3 tackles, got over the try line and went round to improve his position.
Yes, Bill, the defensive line here of De La Salle looked rather like a dog's hind leg. They came up in staggered numbers. Barrett, with his pace, went straight through the gap, drew the fullback superbly, and Peter Clifton did the rest. But it was just sheer pace and a poor defensive line that enabled St Gregory's Campbelltown to put the first points on the board.
Yes, well, there you have it. A great try by St Gregory's late in the scoring here. Let's hope that's not a sign of the night.
So Greg Keenan now trying to add the extras for St Gregory's. Hits that one sweetly. So that's 2 more points. And in the first 5 minutes of play, St Gregory's now hit the front, 6 points to 0. And I would think Bill Anderson showing all their experience over the years of Commonwealth Bank Cup football.
Well, they're a side that's done it all, Graham. They've won state knockout competitions. They've won their local Catholic school competitions. They've won the Commonwealth Bank Cup on a record number of 4 occasions. They hold that record with Patrician Brothers Fairfield, who have also won it 4 times. But they're a side that's used to playing under pressure. They seem to be a breeding ground for good young footballers. And just in the early minutes of this game, it looks like they've done it again. They've got good individual players, and their coach, Peter Mulholland's got them combining particularly well.
So the kick downfield by Michael Kirkman, and another mistake from Ashfield. St Gregory certainly getting their game into order in this first half, very early in the piece. And in fact, St Gregory's met De La Salle Ashfield earlier in the year, back in March, in the St Gregory's of Campbelltown knockout. On that occasion, coming up the victors 20-0. Now they find a big blindside play here. Kirkman fills in, back inside to Scott Barrett, the man who pulled the move, and another great try to St Gregory's. Scott Barrett, the man, the 5'8", who read that the blindside play was on. Michael Kirkman filling in on the blind side, and St Gregory's running riot in the opening stages.
Well, the De La Salle defence didn't read this all that well. The ball came down the blind side. Kirkman, the fullback, chimed in to make the extra man, but there was no breaking from the De La Salle scrum to stop it. That gave the opportunity for Barrett, the man who put on the last try, to back up on the inside and score this one himself.
Well, that scrum was located in an ideal position to put a blindside move on, 15 yards in from touch, and Barrett called the move, obviously offloaded to the fullback Kirkman, and Barrett backed up inside, once again showing his pace, and a great try to Campbelltown.
So that'll be a very jubilant St Gregory's camp, racing away now to a 10-0 lead, and Greg Keenan, the centre, just lining up now to try and add the extras again. De La Salle Ashfield certainly well and truly shell-shocked in their in-goal area. Keenan about 15 metres to the side, the left hand upright, and strikes that one beautifully, but just waved away to the left-hand side. So the scoreline remains St Gregory's of Campbelltown 10, Ashfield 0. So welcome back to Leichhardt Oval for this group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup, and it's a very confident St Gregory's of Campbelltown that have started this match. Wayne Pearce, as I said to Bill Anderson, certainly showing their experience, but it is a highly confident outfit.
Certainly is, and De La Salle, they've really got to pull their fingers out here and get on with their defence, because that's the thing that's caused those 2 breaks. There's only been 2 breaks in this game so far, but really it's just the result of a poor defensive line. Not so much missed tackles, but just a poor defensive line.
Very quickly, St Gregory's to set themselves up for that kicking game once more. And that's a fine kick from Michael Kirkman.
And a very good chase by St Greg's. They're going to pin Boutros down near his own quarter, and if they can make a good strong set of 6 here and tackle and hold De La Salle in this area, they're going to be dangerous again when they get the ball back. De La Salle, they've got it all to do. They've got to get their game in order. I think the important thing for them is not to panic and start pushing passes that aren't on. All that's going to do is forfeit possession. They've got to play out their 6 tackles, kick the ball, and then have a good chase themselves. That's an excellent kick.
Looking to their skipper, Fred Abraham, on that occasion to get themselves out of trouble. Kirkman returns the ball, finds plenty of open space, but brought down now about 40 metres out from his own line. Up and plays it quickly, Finicka-Fallu, Fuller. Keenan is the man that comes up with the knock-on. And Ashfield turn the tables now on St Greg's. Kalina charging upfield, but well and truly met by a strong Campbelltown defence. Pike, Ray Abraham, Fred Abraham. Good long ball out to Duncan Gregg. But he's wrapped up by Scott Barrett. Back to Semrani. Abraham. Gary Pike. Fred Abraham, the Ashfield captain. Skiglatano. Pike. And a penalty and the chance for De La Salle Ashfield to put their first points on the board.
Well, it's only early stages of the game, and I think you'd have to have the shot for goal there. Behind by 10 points to 0, but not only will the two get them a little bit closer on the scoreboard, but it'd also be a great boost to their confidence to be able to register points.
And a chance now for Ashfield to open those early points. Ashfield made their way to this group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup via victories over Carringbar High 30-0, Belmore High 22-8, and Engadine High 18-12. And also very impressive victories for St Gregory's on their trial to this group final. They defeated Gymea 60-0, Sutherland High 48-6, Hurstville High 62-4, and De La Salle Cronulla 44-14. So Ashfield register their first points of the night. That might give them some sort of confidence now to get back into this game. St Gregory's 10, De La Salle Ashfield 2. Bill Anderson, no doubt, Fred Abraham, the captain of this De La Salle Ashfield side. He has a good kicking game, I believe, and he has just been selected in the New South Wales Catholic Colleges.
Well, that's a feather in anyone's cap. You know that Abraham's, he's obviously done well. There'll be plenty of competition to make those representative schoolboy teams, and you know he's done very well to do that. And let's hope we can see a bit more of him tonight. But he's got a tall job, a big task in hand. 5'8's a critical position in any class of football, where not only have you got to play your own game well, but you've got to do an organisational job and help everyone else.
Well, on this occasion, the man we're talking about, Fred Abraham, looking for touch, but that kick coming off the side of the boot. And the pressure rolling well and truly back on Ashfield again as the scrum is all set midfield on the quarter line of Ashfield. And once again we see a big blind side here. And the penalty again to Ashfield. Feet across the scrum is the ruling by the referee, Cole Jones. For Wayne Pearce, you'd probably have a better view than anybody down there on the sideline, and this defensive line of St Gregory's is certainly hitting and hurting. And just judging from the commentary box, they certainly do look a much bigger outfit in the forwards.
Yes, Graham, there's certainly been some big hits down here, but I think that Fred Abraham and the De La Salle side had the right idea on that occasion when they kicked out on the full. But really, they've got to kick and chase early on in this game, because the forwards of Campbelltown are certainly very big and hitting hard, although there's a break being made at the moment.
And we see Skiglatano backing up Ray Abraham. Now Ashfield try and get a roll on into their play. Lock forward, John George is hitting the ball up. Up to Fred Abraham, looking for touch. A much better kick on this occasion. As we see a little bit more confidence starting to build in this De La Salle Ashfield side.
Well, they got field position then in 4 tackles and did it easily. We can see here the kick that took place after 3 good hits downfield, and that was a great touch finder. And now if they could come up with a scrum against the feet and the head, they'd be able to put a bit of pressure on.
But they're not going to do that as Finica Fallu comes away with the ball. And St Gregory's trying to run play out of their own quarter line now, as we see Mark Bowyer taking some of the pressure off for his forward pack. Back from Dill. Taking the ball up as Simon Ward. Back to Michael Rails. Man always in support for the St Gregory side as their forwards take this ball up to the defensive line. And back we go for the kick again from Kirkman. Robert Badawi making a mistake on this occasion. He played at the ball, which put all the St Gregory's chasers on side. And again, De La Salle Ashfield taking their time certainly in getting back to support these ball runners.
I think the most critical difference at this point in time between the two sides is that St Gregory's have got a much better disciplined defensive line. They've got all of their players in the line except their fullback and their markers. Their line moves up quickly, it makes the tackle, and after having made the tackle it goes back quickly. De La Salle don't have the same sort of discipline in their defensive line, where the players aren't going up as a team, they're going up in ones and twos.
So this game of chess in the group final continues with Fred Abraham finding touch once again. And a chance now, as Bill Anderson said only a few moments to go, to see if their hooker Gregrey can come up with a win against the feed. Even better still, a penalty to De La Salle Ashfield.
And that makes the penalties 5-0 in favour of De La Salle Ashfield. And I think with that sort of possession going in your favour, it certainly helps to keep you in the game.
Well, let's now see what they can do. 6 tackles inside the quarter line of St Gregory's. Still waiting for the 5'8" captain Fred Abraham to put his stamp on this game. Back to Conzarafidis. Quickly to his feet, back to Skiglitano. David Farrell. Relying very heavily on their forwards. This time Pike comes back down the blind side looking for Tony Pascali. Skiglitano. Ray Abraham. Out to his front row partner Milan Kalina, but he has lost the ball. And St Gregory's now, who have continually stuck to a pattern of play where they've just taken the ball 2 or 3 tackles up the middle of the field to set their fullback Michael Kirkman for the kick. But now we see them get their first penalty of the game. And no doubt it's Greg Keenan or Michael Kirkman to look for touch on the grandstand side here at Leichhardt Oval.
That kick probably wasn't as good a kick as Keenan might have liked, but it did the most essential thing, and that is it found touch.
And as we said before, plenty of experience in the St Gregory side. The man with the ball there, Mark Bowyer. 4 members of last year's St Gregory's team backing up again in 1987. And the penalties continue to come for St Gregory's now. Once again, the referee. And there we see a shot of Peter Mulholland, the coach of this St Gregory's team. The man who took them to the final and in fact victory in 1986.
Yes, Peter's been a very successful schoolboy coach, and he's a coach that wouldn't be out of his depth in grade football.
Bowyer beats the first tackle. A solid defence which forces him back inside his own half there from Milan Kalina. Rowan O'Brien. Finica Fallu. Barrett. Looked for Tim Perrin on that occasion, but was unable to get the pass away. Dill, Fuller. Greg Keenan goes without the ball. And Ashfield, in fact, in possession. Ray Abraham to his feet.
That was a good advantage played by the referee, Kyle Jones. He gave De La Salle every opportunity to capitalise on the mistake by St Gregory's College, and they did. St Gregory's had knocked on, and De La Salle had now got the ball, and an opportunity with some 12 minutes to go before half-time to try and register further points and get back into this match.
To Gary Pike, Fred Abraham. This time the kick for his outside backs. It's a well-weighted kick by Fred Abraham, and plenty of chase from the Ashfield back line. Good play as they try to get back into this group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup.
Well, that was a good strong tackle by De La Salle, and they're the sorts of tackles when you're making a chase on kick that can jolt a ball loose and give you a possible loose ball and try.
But a good run by Peter Clifton by St Greg's. Brings play back to the quarter line. Finica Fallu out of the dummy half area. And again they look set to go back to Kirkman to relieve the pressure as they go downtown. And again, poor Tony Boutros gets a bad bounce. Plenty of chases in the St Gregory's team. A lot of enthusiasm in this Campbelltown side. To his feet now. Simon Lovering in the centre in the headgear, bring up a strong tackle.
I'm afraid this Campbelltown market offence is so good that to run from dummy half against it or to take the ball up near the play the ball is flirting with danger. I think the De La Salle, while they've got to do it with some caution, they've got to move the ball around bound a little bit. I don't think they're going to make headway going up the centre of the rucks too often.
So again the kicking game continues. Michael Kirkman bringing play back upfield. Brought down by Gary Pike. Clifton into dummy half. He's been dangerous on all the occasions that he's touched the ball in this first half. Quickly to his feet. Back to Dill. Simon Ward charging upfield. A much more controlled pattern of play by the St Gregory side.
Well, St Greg's are a very experienced and very disciplined football team. They're a side that puts a lot a lot of work into their training. They train, almost daily with their coach Peter Mulholland. They've got good patterns to work to, and the players stick to them.
Right. Tim Perrin charging upfield. Looks inside for Matthew Fuller. Good support play by the lock forward by St Gregory's. Finicafalou, Barrett, they have the numbers out wide. Lovering, unable to get the pass out to Bowyer.
So that was a good set of 6 tackles by St Greg's. They did everything right. They took the ball up the centre of the rucks in the first few play the balls. That pulled the De La Salle defence in, and when they realised they had the defence stretched, they moved the ball out to the flanks and almost came up with a scoring opportunity.
A dangerous pass by Ray Abraham, who in fact is the cousin of the 5'8" and captain Fred Abraham, as we see an interested onlooker there. Rick Wade, the secretary of the Western Suburbs Club, no doubt casting his eye over this De La Salle Ashfield lineup.
And of course also the St Gregory's lineup now that West have moved out to Arana Park at Campbelltown.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that was a knock-on from young Michael Kirkman, who finds plenty of space out wide. He has Keenan in support, but fails to go outside. Very good tackle from behind. So danger now for Ashfield as they try to regroup. Finicafalou to Fuller. Out to Barrett. He can't unload. Stephen Dill. Barrett again. Brought down now only 5 metres out from the Ashfield line. Certainly the numbers are taken on the left, but they go right. Looking forward. Tim Perrin charges over. All too easy as he busts the De La Salle Ashfield defensive line wide open.
You can score a try by going around them, over them or through them, and here St Gregory's Campbelltown front rower Tim Perrin decided to take the easy way, and that was to go through them. He's a big strong fellow, charged through the centre of the De La Salle defence. He did it easily.
Well, this try can be traced back to that big run by Michael Kirkman a couple of rucks earlier, and Tim Perrin did the rest there with brute strength and went over adjacent to the uprights.
Well, I think it can also be traced back to the fact that I really do believe referee Cole Jones erred in not picking up the knock-on by the fullback Michael Kirkman. So 14 points to 2. Can Greg Keenan make it 16? No problem as he adds the extras. And real trouble now for De La Salle Ashfield in this group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup. St Gregory 16, Ashfield 2. So welcome back to Leichhardt Oval, and Wayne Pearce 16 points to 2 in favour of St Gregory's of Campbelltown, and Ashfield have tried to get back into the game via a big kicking game of the 5'8" Fred Abraham, but of course that can lead to frustration now. Possession is what they want.
Exactly, Graham, and it's a huge psychological task now to ask the De La Salle players to keep on getting themselves revved up for this game, but the fact is that Campbelltown have played well, not only in attack, but they've defended well, and they've blotted out anything that De La Salle could throw at them.
They certainly have, as we see St Gregory's again probably setting up for this kicking game from the fullback Michael Kirkman.
Well, it's been a good tactical game by them, hasn't it? They haven't played the game in their own quarter, Campbelltown. They've kicked early in the tackle count. They've chased very well. They've pinned De La Salle down in their own quarter, waited for a mistake, and when they've got that, they've played good patterned, planned attacking football and come up with a result.
So Boutros again finds himself with a wall of defenders in front of him. Robert Badawi out of dummy half. Ray Abraham, who's been a willing worker for the Ashfield side, continually taking the ball up, but so often, Bill, as we see the forwards of Ashfield take the ball to the defensive line, no support.
No support, and I just don't think that that's where the holes are against St Greg's. They're a big side in the forwards, they're strong, they're mobile, and they're all prepared to work hard in there. I think if you're going to find a hole on them, it's going to be what De La Salle are trying now, is just a little bit of ball movement, 2 or 3 passes on the fringe of the ruck.
And that's certainly where they're going to rely upon their captain, Fred Abraham. Gary Pike takes the shortcut to the sideline with a little chip out of the dummy half position. And the scrum is all set to go down, 40 metres out from the St Gregory's try line. Noticing Scott Barrett talking to his fullback, Michael Kirkman, trying to call the fullback into play here. They have the feed, St Greg's, and standing very deep, even though they are inside their own half, Bill.
Yes, I'm sure they'll push the ball here and try and involve the fullback as an extra man.
In fact, Peter Clifton, the
Well,
right winger.
Maybe it's coming on this next ruck.
That's Fuller, Barrett, Lovering, Keenan, out to Bowyer, but he's wrapped up by Tony Pascali. Back to Simon Lovering out of dummy half. He's lost the ball, but referee Cole Jones on that occasion ruling, in fact, that a De La Salle Ashfield player was offside after it had been...
The ball was pulled out in the play, the ball, by a De La Salle player, so he was the last one to touch it, and the next De La Salle player who picked it up was in an offside position, so that's a good ruling by Cole Jones.
And another chance now for Greg Keenan to see if he can add a further 2 points. It's been a good year already for St Gregory's. They won the 87 Tamworth High School knockout. And as I said earlier in the year, they met De La Salle Ashfield in their own St Gregory's knockout competition, winning that clash by 20 points to 0, and I would have expected a lot of improvement from both sides up to the present.
I'd say so, Graham, but we should probably mention at this point in time that the Tamworth knockout's a good indicator of how teams are going to go this year, so St Greg's are obviously strong.
And the ball falls off the mound. Keenan having to reset this kick about 30 to 33 metres out from the De La Salle Ashfield line, and about 5 or 10 metres to the side of the left-hand upright. Having no problem the way he's meeting this ball tonight, and again he adds the extras. That's a great kick from Greg Keenan, pushing this scoreline right along now, making even more confidence in Gregory's lineup. 18, De La Salle Ashfield 2. And no doubt this is a marvellous opportunity for schoolboy talent, the Commonwealth Bank Cup and the New South Wales Rugby League, also putting a lot of effort into the development of youngsters throughout New South Wales. And with Wayne Pearce on the sideline is the development officer of the New South Wales Rugby League, Peter Johnson.
Another great schoolboy game here tonight, Peter, and Schoolboy Rugby League has certainly been in the news of late.
That's right, Wayne, with the Department of Education's decision to reclassify Rugby League to a Category B sport, the New South Wales Rugby League's moved swiftly, and we're offering our Level 1 or Level O coaching courses to any groups of school teachers free of charge. And we're just hoping that principals and schools won't overreact to the new regulations, and before the schools make any decisions, they would... if they could talk to their development officer from their district club or ring me at the league, we'd only be too happy to help them out wherever possible.
Has the league at the moment experienced any reaction from the teachers to the Education Department's directive?
Well, I think the teachers have only been back for 3 days and they're still digesting the department's directive. We haven't had too much feedback yet, but we're starting our courses for the teachers this Friday, as a matter of fact, so we've jumped into it pretty quickly to try and help the teachers out wherever we can.
Wayne, I wonder if Peter could just clarify one thing, and that is, do the rules take effect immediately, or will they start in 1988?
Yes, Peter, could you tell us if the rules will take effect immediately, or do they start as of next year?
No, they take effect immediately, Wayne, as of Monday last, when school went back. And the schools have to contact their regional director to get approval to play rugby league or rugby union these days. And it's in effect as of now, right now.
So hopefully any young fellas out there playing hooker with a long neck can request to play on the wing or in the back in the second row or lock or something like that.
That might be a good idea, Wayne, yeah.
Thanks a lot, Peter.
Thanks to Peter Johnson, the development officer of the New South Wales Rugby League. Well, Bill Anderson, Benny Elias certainly wouldn't have any problems in the neck area.
No, he's no emu, Benny, is he?
So a danger period again for De La Salle Ashfield here as Finika Falou finds a gap right up the middle of the ruck in the dying minutes of this first half. Only a minute to go before the half-time siren as Fuller heads out wide looking for Keenan. Referee rules the ball has gone back, tidied up by Michael Kirkman. And that's the 6th tackle. Back to Fuller. Steadies himself for the drop at goal. He hit that sweetly, but referee Cole Jones rules that it's gone wide.
They're greedy, aren't they? They even wanted a one-pointer. You can see here the attempt for field goal, and it left the boot fairly well and just curled around to the side of that upright as it got towards the posts.
I must admit, Bill, that I'm very impressed the way that they seem to keep their cool and certainly have a fine pattern of play, and a couple of cool heads out there. Well, not cool heads for De La Salle Ashfield as they give an opportunity here for Campbelltown as Dill looks out wide for Keenan. The referee rules the pass okay. And as so often happens in football, in the dying moments of the first half, a lapse there by De La Salle Ashfield and a further try to St Gregory's of Campbelltown in the form of Greg Keenan.
Well, the field goal wasn't successful, but as soon as they got the ball back, St Gregory's, they launched an attack. We can see here the ball moving out along their back line. Greg Keenan got it here, and he had a little bit of space to work in, and that's all that he needed. The cover defence was coming across, but alas, far too late.
Yes, Bill, it was just simply here a matter of offloading well in a tackle and drawing the supports and offloading out wide. Greg Keenan did exceptionally well here. He stayed his ground out wide, didn't come in, used the try line and sideline well, and went over in the corner for a well-deserved try.
So the man himself trying to add the extras as we hear the half-time siren. Greg Keenan from right on the touchline. Thankfully it's on his right side as he will try and curl this ball back. He's been meeting the ball well all night, trying to push the extras for St Gregg's. It's a good-looking kick. Is it coming around enough? And just short. So the scoreline at half-time after a big first half for the St Gregory side, 22, De La Salle Ashfield 2. Right now we'll take a break, and then after that we'll be back with all the action of the second half. So with it all to do now in this second half of the group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup, St Gregory's 22, Ashfield 2, and it'll be Greg Keenan to get play underway again in this second half for St Gregory's. Bill Anderson, where does Ashfield go from here?
Well, I doubt very much that they can get back into this game, Graham. They've met a St Gregory's team tonight that's very big and very strong and probably a bit too fast for them, and they're running hot. You know, St Gregg's have done everything right, and I don't think De La Salle really have played the sort of football that they're capable of, and I doubt that they can get back into this game. But what they can do is they've got other hurdles to attempt this year, and I think their coach would be looking for them just to get their game in order, and this to be a launching pad for the other competitions that they'll be entering.
So we wait and see now if Ashfield rely upon a kicking game. Again, it goes back to Fred Abraham. Ball taken by Kirkman, who had a solid first half. Had a hand in 2 tries, brings the ball back well to halfway. Finney-Fallu into the dummy half. And finds plenty of room straight up the middle of the ruck. And that's a solid little run from the little halfback. Back to Dill. Simon Ward charges upfield. Quickly to his feet. And a penalty. Referee Cole Jones has been strict on that right throughout this game.
Well, at one stage the penalties favoured Ashfield by 5-0, and that's now come back to 5-all. And St Gregg's are the sort of side that with this flow of possession, they're going to be unstoppable if it continues.
And danger for Ashfield because Greg Keenan, the St Gregory's kicker, this stage he has 3 from 5, but he's been meeting the ball well. And Wayne Pearce, Balmain certainly know the advantages of having a man that can put them out from a long distance and a man that's more accurate more times than not.
Exactly, Graham. We certainly have got an excellent kicker in Ross Conlon, but we're a little bit disappointed with him at times because he gets the quick over and done with or the kick over and done with so quickly that we don't get much of a chance to get our breath back.
Spoken like a true forward, looking for a rest. Wayne Pearce, Greg Keenan hits the ball well again and adds the extras. The flags go up. So St Gregory's in the opening minutes of the second half increased that scoreline 24, De La Salle Ashfield 2. And St Gregory's are off to a flying start in the first half. The try in the 5th minute to Peter Clifton. Again in the 7th minute to their 5'8" Scott Barrett. Timmy Perrin added the 3rd try for St Gregory's in the 21st minute of the game, and just before half-time, Greg Keenan going across in the 29th minute. Tim Perrin, the captain of this St Gregory side, well and truly met by his opposite, Ray Abraham, who's been a non-stop worker for the Ashfield side.
Remember, Timmy was one of the stars last year of the Channel 10 and New South Wales Rugby League coaching tape which we made, and the St Gregory's boys came down and helped us with that, and Tim had his face in many of the shots, particularly in the scrummaging section.
Matthew Fuller, Scott Barrett. Every time a break made by the St Gregory side, always somebody there willing to support the ball carrier.
And of course, that's the best move in football, backing up.
And again, they go ahead through their forwards. Back down the blind side to Simon Ward, the second rower, who puts his foot to the ball. Down to Robert Badawi. Met solidly by Rowan O'Brien and Michael Rales. Tony Boutros. But he's going nowhere through those forwards of St Gregory's. Ray Abraham again taking the ball up.
Does plenty of work for them, Abraham, Graham. He's a very willing forward. I just think that he's probably had to do a little too much tonight.
Skiglitano, Milan Kalina. And look at the enthusiasm in that defence. 4 and 5 tacklers lunging at Kalina. Fred Abraham this time varies his kicking game with a short chip, but read very well by the little halfback Alicio Finicafalou. Keenan looking for Barrett, unloads well to Scott Barrett. Plenty of space for the 5'8", and beats Tony Boutros. This is a great try by the 5'8" from St Gregory's. Excellent play. They read the blind side was weak. Greg Keenan was the man who took the ball and found a willing support in Scott Barrett, and another great try, Bill Anderson, to St Gregory's.
Well, there are a lot of the skills of rugby league displayed in this try. Keenan ran wide, he got his hands over the top in a tackle and shifted the ball onto Barrett. Barrett showed a good fend to beat the first tackler. I thought he might have been carrying the ball in the wrong hand, but he was able to beat the fullback Boutros, who came across in cover defence with a very strong left foot step. He set his sights towards the goal line and went across to score his second try for the night.
Well, this is yet another try by St Gregory's where they exploited the blind side. Greg Keenan did exceptionally well there to get the ball away, and Barrett once more showed his pace, skirted the touch line, stepped inside the fullback, and it was another try adjacent to the uprights once more.
And Greg Keenan has added the extras now. So St Gregory's, that scoreline certainly scampering along now. And De La Salle Ashfield well and truly out of this game. There was the conversion kick by Greg Keenan, making no mistake. And De La Salle Ashfield with a load of work. 30 points to St Gregory's, only the 2 to De La Salle Ashfield. That was a penalty kick at goal by their lock forward John Georges. And still 24 minutes left in this second half, and Wayne Pearce, I know it's a difficult one for sides, but their enthusiasm well and truly shot, and all they can play for is a little bit of pride.
Exactly, Graham. In circumstances like this, that's all you've got to really pay for is individual pride. And De La Salle certainly haven't let themselves down in that area. They've tried everything. They just haven't had the size nor the defensive line really to match the big and bruising Campbelltown forwards.
Matthew Fuller taking the ball up this time. He's played exceptionally well throughout the game for St Gregory's. Michael Rales not expecting that ball, but charges upfield, needs 4 De La Salle Ashfield players to bring him down. Back it goes to Fuller, looking for touch on the grandstand side at Leichhardt Oval, but Robert Badawi will be the man that brings it back. He's taken well by his opposite Peter Clifton and Tim Perrin, and the St Gregory's players claiming that he lost the ball, but referee Cole Jones will have none of it. And Tim Perrin now, the skipper from St Greg's, being called out for refusing to hand the ball over to Ray Abraham. And, well, to my way of thinking, the ball coming through, but Cole Jones ruling that the ball was taken away from Robert Badawi. And a worried look on Peter Mulholland's face. Bill, I certainly don't think he should have a worried look on his face.
No, I think Pete's probably suffering the curse of all coaches, as you're never sure about the result until the game's over. And, you know, maybe that's something you've got to do as a coach, is look worried anyhow.
Is it a worried Balmain coach that leads the Winfield Cup?
Well, not for about 7 days anyhow, because we've got the bye this weekend, but it all starts again next Wednesday night.
So De La Salle Ashfield now with a restart of play by Skiglitano right on halfway. Out to Pike, Fred Abraham, Tony Pascali, who has removed the headgear that he played with in the first half. Still on halfway. John Georges to his feet. Skig Latano and Ray Abraham.
I should mention that, you know, De La Salle certainly have got some players that can make a break, can step through a ruck or like that, get a ball away. You know, they have got some good individual skills, and you know, I think it's just a matter of them playing together a little bit more. And you know, this if the coach could, if Michael Lewis, the coach, could keep this team together for a period of time, I'm sure that that'd be a good outfit.
So replacement making his way on now for St Gregory's. That is Matt Munro in 14, and the man to come off, Michael Rails, who came up with a lot of work for St Gregory's in defence, as we see another penalty go to the St Gregory side. And Bill, outstanding opportunities for the sides right throughout the Commonwealth Bank Cup in 1987. The winning school, in fact, will receive $5,000 worth of electrical equipment from Pye Consumer Products, with another $3,000 worth of product going to the runner-up. And Pye, of course, the #1 manufacturer of audio equipment, and a special thanks to Paul Cross, the Pye Divisional Manager, a great supporter, as Pye are, of junior schoolboy rugby league. Simon Lovering hitting the ball up in the St Gregory side. Quickly to his feet now, Stephen Dill, Finika Fallu, Matthew Fuller, well and truly held by Kalina. Back to Dill, Rowan O'Brien, working in tandem with his skipper Tim Perrin, still charging outfield, but the referee Cole Jones has called it back for a forward pass.
Another replacement now, this one being made by De La Salle Ashfield, and the number 14, Flynn Hall, is coming onto the field, and looks like he's replacing the fullback, #1 for De La Salle, Tony Boutros.
In fact, Flynn Hall is the school swimming captain for 1987 from Ashfield. And a big push against the feed this time, and a gap opens up for Finika Fallu. All too easy for the little halfback. But he's been a willing worker for St Gregory's right throughout the game. He's put in a great performance. He saw the gap, darted right through, and a great try to Alicio Finika Fallu.
Well, this is a Steve Mortimer-like try. He's able to snavel these opportunities when he sees them arise. It was a good push by St Greg's. That meant that the second row and lock for De La Salle didn't have the opportunity to break from the scrum. They were on the ground. Finika Fallu picked it up and darted and came up with a good, alert halfback's try.
Always a problem with the rule, in fact, that the lock must stay in the scrum as that scrum screws. And I think if our mind goes back to last Sunday, one of the big reasons why Stevie Mortimer found the gap at Belmore Sports Ground was the fact that the scrum had screwed. Now Keenan trying to add the extras. No problem for Greg Keenan. That scoreline moving right along for St Gregory's 36, De La Salle Ashfield 2. So welcome back to Leichhardt Oval, and as we were talking, the winning school prizes on offer from Pye for both the winning team and the runners-up in 1987, and also this year's player of the series will receive the full sportsman's playing and training kit courtesy of Adidas, and this wardrobe of sporting apparel includes everything the young footballer could want, ranging from playing gear right through to leisure wear, and a special thanks to Tony Steele and Steve Rickson from Adidas for their support of the Commonwealth Bank Cup in 1987. Peter Clifton with the ball. Met and held by Con Zarafidis and Ray Abraham. Back to Matt Munro. Quickly to his feet, back to Dill. Matthew Fuller. Always being able to unload that ball. Barrett beautifully picked that ball up. Out to Keenan. Keenan will look for Bowyer. Bowyer into space. Up net, and a good tackle on that occasion by the Ashfield cover defence. Up wide to Matt Munro. Back inside to Lovering. Keenan has too much pace for the forwards, but the cover defence again there. He remains in field.
Well, De La Salle continue to play with a lot of spirit, but I think there's just too much class in this St Greg side.
And out to Peter Clifton. Is this try number 2 for Clifton? Yes, he manages to get the ball down. No problem, says the touch judge. And Cole Jones rules yet another try to St Gregory's. They were always going to set that one up out on the right-hand side, Bill Anderson. They certainly had the numbers.
Well, I doubt if any football teams could have stopped this try. It moved from one side of the field to the other, and finally St Greg's had all of the numbers back here on the right. Salle were completely stretched. It went through numerous sets of hands, found its way onto Clifton. Clifton's a big, strong winger in the Eric growth mould, and he was able to get the ball down one-handed.
A magnificent try to St Gregory's here. It shows the value of depth of the back line, really. They had a couple of forwards in there, but they were all deep. And Peter Clifton over in the corner, New South Wales under-16 representative last year, showed he's a great finisher after he pushed off the winger and went over adjacent to the corner post.
And a great try to Peter Clifton. He's looked dangerous whenever he's been in possession all night. Certainly knows where the try line is. And this man, Greg Keenan, certainly knows where those two uprights are. Keenan now trying to add the extras to the scoreline. And he's met that superbly well, but it's hooking around to the face of the goalpost. No conversion on that occasion. The scoreline remains St Gregory's of Campbelltown 40, De La Salle Ashfield 2. And Bill, we certainly have been talking about the great prizes on offer for the players and the teams and the schools involved in the Commonwealth Bank Cup, but it wouldn't happen.
That's right.
In 87 without the bank itself.
Yeah, the Commonwealth Bank have been tremendous supporters of this competition and all other forms of schoolboy rugby league for a number of years now, and I know I speak on behalf of all the boys on the competition, of all the schools, the parents and the spectators of the Commonwealth Bank Cup, who are so thankful for the bank for all the efforts that they've made and for making this sort of competition available for schoolboys of Australia. It wouldn't happen in any other country in the world.
What bank? The Commonwealth Bank, I think the commercial goes. A very confident St Gregory side now, always looking to unload the ball. They want more tries. 15 minutes still remaining in this second half. Stephen Dill hesitates out of the dummy half position. And talking about a confident St Gregory side, and it must be a confident coach, Peter Mulholland, who took them to the final, in fact winning in 1986. And Peter Mulholland is on the sideline right now with Wayne Pearce.
Well, Peter, it's certainly been an impressive game tonight, and you've had an impressive record in your build-up games. Is there any room for improvement?
I think we've still got a bit to go, Wayne. It's we had a very good competition at Tamworth, and I think if we can get back to that form at Tamworth, we'll be right on the road. Little things tonight, but overall it's been good.
And as far as the players in the side goes, are there any players out there you feel has the ability to go on to first grade standard?
Well, I think it's a bit early in the season, but there's a couple of boys out there that I think have got it. Young Timmy Perrin, who was in the Australian schoolboy side last year, the prop forward, and as you know, props take a while to go, but he looks like he's got the goods. Young 5'8's playing well tonight from Tamori and Scott Barrett. But overall, I think just with the competition, the boys will improve, and each kid, if he takes his opportunities, could make it to grade.
And finally, how does this side compare with the previous sides that you've had at St Gregory's Campbelltown?
Very favourable. It's a young side. We've got about, in the squad of 20, we've got 11 in year 11, so we've got them back next year. But they've got ahead of them. There's other teams who've got pretty impressive records, and they've got ahead of them. I think they know what's ahead of them for the rest of the season. But overall, it's a comparative side.
Thanks a lot. All the best of luck in the competition.
Thanks, Wayne.
Peter Mulholland, one of the success stories of the Commonwealth Bank Cup, and also one of the success stories, no doubt, from his school, St Gregory's of Campbelltown, and Bill sounding a bit of a warning for the rest of the teams, as he says there's still some room for improvement.
Yes, but I think with tonight, Graham, we've found ourselves a favourite for the Commonwealth Bank Cup. We hadn't really seen a team that was outstanding. It seemed to be a fairly level standard of play, while it was a high standard. But tonight, I think we've found a side that looks a cut above what we might have seen at this stage. But I'm sure that sides like Patrician Brothers, Fairfield, and so on are going to improve. And of course, there are some teams that we're yet to see on television.
And another opportunity for St Gregory's. They find touch 40 metres out from the De La Salle Ashfield line. Peter Clifton to restart play. Met by Ray Abraham, a man who certainly hasn't been disgraced tonight in the Ashfield side. Stephen Dill, Simon Ward. Good ball away to Peter Clifton. Struggles to his feet. Dill to Matt Munro, replacement player in 14. And they work the blind side with Barrett to Tim Perrin. Charges up this blind side, the big front rower. Looks for his 5'8 Barrett. Brought down only 2 or 3 metres out from the Ashfield try line. Quickly to his feet. Perrin And again on the charge. Can he manage to get that ball down? No, says Cole Jones. Held up. And looking a little bit disappointed, trying to make a try number 2 was the skipper of this St Gregory side, Timmy Perrin. On the charge, the big man. 3 and 4 defenders trying to get under him here as he crashes across the try line. But referee Cole Jones right on the spot. And Wayne Pearce, more changes?
Yes, more changes there, Graham. Pat Moroney is on for Simon Ward, and Bernie Burgess is on for Mark Bauer.
All those changes in this St Gregory side as the penalty goes to Ashfield. In fact, there's Pat Moroney in 18. A man, I believe, that's only just recently back from some minor knee surgery in St Gregory side. Ashfield back to Badawi. Well, Bill, I must admit that I'm a little bit disappointed. I've been looking for a lot of involvement from the Ashfield skipper, Fred Abraham. I know it's a difficult one when maybe your forwards haven't been on top, but I would have been looking for the skipper to start to bring his back line into play.
Yeah, I think it's been a little bit difficult for him. They haven't been able to go forward and assert any sort of authority in the centre of the rucks, and that's meant he's had to play the sort of role he's played there, and that is purely kicking the ball downfield. I just don't think they've gone forward enough to be able to move the ball out along their backs, but had they been able to, I'm sure that was their best opportunity of making breaks.
So St Gregory's on the charge yet again. See Kirkman get to his feet. Back to Rowan O'Brien. Another good performer in the St Gregory side. Manages a great ball back to Stephen Dill. Matt Munro throws the dummy, goes back the blind. A good ball to Dill, the man backing up yet again. Matthew Fuller. Bernie Burgess out there on the left wing. Back to Finicafaloo with the ball. Kirkman still in the play, the fullback up in play. And the last tackle, back to Perrin, Finicafaloo, Barrett. Last tackle for St Gregory's. Can he manage to unload? He does. He gets a great ball to Keenan. Clifton. And a magnificent try with Lovering backing around the winger. On the last tackle there, a magnificent performance by St Gregory's to keep this ball alive.
Well, you can see here in this try the value of moving the ball and backing up in rugby league. The ball moved from one side of the field to the other. It looked like it had broken down on any number of occasions. The first time being the pass over the top of Finicafaloo's head. It then went on to the 5'8 Barrett. He looked like he was held in a tackle. He fired the ball across to Keenan. Keenan got the ball back onto the wing at Clifton. Now it looked like it was dead here. But there was a loop around here by Lovering, the number 4 with the headgear. Finally the defence was just so stretched that they'd run out of numbers, and he was able to cross for a magnificent team try.
Yes, Bill, it appears here that the defensive side, De La Salle certainly held off, expecting a kick, which wasn't to follow. Clifton did well here in this particular incident, offloading there, and the headgear of Simon Lovering came flashing from nowhere and went over in the corner.
We've been doing it all night, St Gregory's. Magnificent support of the ball carrier. And can Greg Keenan now make this his 7th goal? Can he learn by his last kick? He starts that out well and truly, bringing it back superbly, but it just hits the right-hand upright. A magnificent kick from the sideline. So the scoreline remains St Gregory's 44, De La Salle Ashfield 2. Welcome back to Leichhardt Oval for this group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup 1987, and the game well and truly gone now. St Gregory's of Campbelltown 44, Ashfield 2, and into the last 7 or 8 minutes of play here at Leichhardt Oval. And more changes, Wayne Pearce, I believe.
Yes, Graham. Nicky Tuak is on for David Farrell in De La Salle side.
Nicky Tuak in the Ashfield side, he's wearing number 17. As Kirkman brings the ball back to the quarter line. Back to Matthew Fuller. And Scott Barrett looking back inside to Fuller. Always a player in support in the St Gregory side. Quickly to his feet now. Finicafaloo, Tim Perrin, and I think he did overrun the ball. A good decision by referee Jones. So some relief, Bill, for this Ashfield side now and a chance to play with the ball.
Yes, Graham, and I think just a quick look at the statistics that Ray O'Donnell's had, and all of the back line for St Greg's, with the exception of Mark Bayard, had scored tries, so it's obvious where they're playing the game.
And again, they find the gaps out wide. Back inside the Finucane-Fallu. Pat Moroney can't handle the pass, though. And a chance for Ashfield, although they lost the last against the head, to come up with this possession from the scrum. 7 minutes remaining. St Gregory's 44, Ashfield 2. And a little left for this Ashfield side now. And again, they'll have to hold out St Gregory's. More pressure as the penalty goes against their hooker, Skiglatano, for feet across the scrum. Kirkman to look for touch. And he possesses an excellent kicking game, a kicking game that St Gregory's rely on very, very heavily. Going to work a planned move here. Fuller to restart play. Back to Tim Perrin. The gap opens up, and there it is. Yet another try. Try number 2 for Tim Perrin. The skipper crashes his way over, and a well-worked move there from St Gregory's, very reminiscent of a Jack Gibson coach Cronulla side.
Yes, well, as a coach, these are the things you like to see work because you've put a bit of time into them training. A well-planned move here by Perrin to completely bamboozle the defence. They came up quickly to try and make the tackle, but there was a bit of a hole for Perrin. He broke through one tackle, and his bulk and frame and strength carried him over for the 4 points.
Certainly been a very impressive display by the skipper from St Gregory's, Tim Perrin, who was a member of last year's team, also a member of the New South Wales Catholic Colleges team, under 15, 1984 Australian schoolboys, also in 1986.
Well, if breeding counts for anything, Graham, he's got it, hasn't he? He's got a good pedigree there with all of those things, and a lot of players come out of the Commonwealth Bank Cups for grade football, and he's one that I'm sure all Sydney grade coaches will be looking at. He's certainly a player with a future, as his coach Peter Mulholland suggested.
Greg Keenan looking for goal number 7, but he's hooked that wide to the left. So the scoreline now remaining in favour of St Gregory's, 48, De La Salle, Ashfield 2.
Gregory's 48, De La Salle, Ashfield 2.
And Wayne Pearce, I know we keep on talking about this St Gregory's side. It's been a very impressive win. What players have stood out in the Campbelltown team?
It has certainly been an impressive win, but there's been a number of performances that have caught my eye, and none better than Scott Barrett, the young 5'8" who has come up from the Riverina area. It's his first year at the school, and I think he's destined for big things.
Okay, so there's the restart of play by Ashfield. Back to Matthew Fuller, another of the outstanding players for St Gregory's tonight. Quickly to his feet. Peter Clifton, the winger, right winger, coming back in looking for more work, and again proving a handful for the Ashfield defence. Back to Dill. Perrin back inside. The pass goes astray, so the scrum will go down 40 metres out from the St Gregory's try line as we see another replacement for St Greg's in 17. It's Scott Warner, the replacement hooker, and off comes Stephen Dill, and very important, Bill Anderson, that you have to have an excellent dummy half to read play, and he's played well tonight.
Yes, very often the players you don't notice on the field are the ones that have played the best for you because they've quietly gone about their business, and I think Dill's one of those players. He did everything right tonight. His service was excellent. He always pushed the ball to the right side of the ruck. His tackling was good and his scrummaging was excellent.
Only 4 minutes left. St Gregory's 48, Ashfield 2, and Wayne Pearce from one lock to another. I must admit that I thought that an impressive display tonight was the 8 from St Gregory's, Matthew Fuller.
Matthew Fuller had a high work rate tonight. He didn't miss any tackles in defence, none that I noticed, and he worked well around the scrum base, in particular in conjunction with Finucane-Fallu, the halfback for the Campbelltown side. He's had a great game.
Alicio Finucane-Fallu. Thank you, Wayne
thank
Pearce.
you.
And he has played well, Fuller. Now thanks to Wayne Pearce for his comments tonight.
Call me out.
Abraham goes the blind, looks for Badawi, but he's wrapped up by Peter Clifton. Dying moments of this group final of the Commonwealth Bank Cup. Again, good defence by Clifton. Back to Skiglatano. Flynn Hall. The little kick by Fred Abraham doesn't work on this occasion. And the knock-on by St Gregory's will see the scrum go down 10 metres out from their own line.
I'm sure the De La Salle's night would be made if they could just get across the try line and come up with 4 points.
Well, they're certainly trying hard to put that first try on the board. As Flynn Hall scoots out of the scrum base, but Matthew Fuller's there to tidy him up. Back to Fred Abraham. Pass goes astray. Up to Jim Adam. Ray Abraham looking for Kalina. Hall out of the dummy half position. And again, great defence, this time by Scott Barrett. They go to the blind. But this defence of St Gregory's is swarming over De La Salle Ashfield. Oh, brilliantly taken as Ashfield look for the line there. Bernie Burgess.
They just can't do anything wrong tonight.
And putting their stamp on this Commonwealth Bank Cup and certainly setting themselves up as favourites in 1987, St Gregory's of Campbelltown. So bring the ball back to their own quarter line. 2 minutes to go in this group final. Back to Rowan O'Brien. Look to play the ball. Scott Warner in the dummy half roll. Fuller. Out wide to Kirkman. Kirkman's been a handful all night for the Ashfield defence. But the referee has ruled the pass forward. He'll call the play back to near halfway. So searching to make it 50 points. And that pass, last pass being ruled forward there from Matt Munro. The scrum screws once more. Ashfield coming up with the ball. We should see them play up the 6 tackles to the final siren. Back to Nicky Toak. Ray Abraham. Ashfield still searching for the first try of the night. Fred Abraham, the long ball out to Tony Pascali. Doubles round to receive the ball again. Charlie Samrani. Badawi comes back infield, but the defence again.